Greetings. I'm Michael Elliston. My Zen or Dharma name is Taiun. Zenkai Taiun. Taiun means great cloud. Zenkai means whole world of Zen. I'm the abbot here at the Atlanta Soto Zen Center. Soto, S-O-T-O, comes from Tozan and Sozan, who are Chinese Zen masters, and we emphasize seated meditation. I'm coming to you from our meditation hall, otherwise known as a Zendo in Japanese. And I've been invited to make a comment about the times we're living in and about what would be called my faith, which is not quite an appropriate word in terms of Zen. It's not exactly a religious faith as such. And how we look at it in these times of the COVID pandemic. So, as an ancient Chinese saying, Zen, as you may know, comes from Buddhism in India 2,500 years ago, was brought to China by one of the ancestors called Bodhidharma, very famous, and from China made its way to the Far East through Korea, Japan. And my teacher was Japanese, and the trappings that we wear are Japanese. Came to America in 1939. So he was before the war, and he was known as a bridge builder and peacemaker between Japan and America. So an old Chinese custom or saying says something like, "May you live in interesting times," and it's considered to be a curse. We certainly live in interesting times, what with the COVID virus, but the way we have reacted to it may be slightly different. We have gone online with many of our activities. You can look us up, the Atlanta Soto Zen Center. You can just research Atlanta Zen, and our name will come up very early on. And our program of meditations, dialogues, and so forth. So we've gone online with most of our program, but when it comes to social isolation or social distancing, isolation, those kinds of strictures that you might say have been forced upon people. And Zen, that's what we do all the time. That's part of the method. We go on retreats, we go on hermitage, and so forth, where we practice social distancing intentionally. In the midst of life. And we find it very conducive to getting a perspective on life. So in a way, ironically, this tiny little virus has enforced a lot of the practices of Buddhism, Zen in particular, on the public at large. And of course, most of us don't appreciate it. We resent it. So, in Zen, and by the way, I'm putting a plug in, I'm publishing a book in January called The Original Frontier. It's kind of based on the idea of the American frontier, and that Shakyamuni Buddha, some 2,500 years ago, entered the original frontier of mind. So it's putting those two memes together. In that book, one of the sections is about all the reasons you cannot practice meditation. And it's about excuses, all the excuses we have and the reasons we think we cannot do this. One of the leading ones is, I don't have the time. So along with enforcing some of the self-imposed disciplines of meditation practice or Zen practice in general, Buddhist practice, monastic practice of isolation and so forth. The COVID virus has also made it plain that we have plenty of time on our hands. So your usual excuse of not having enough time has gone out the window. So people ask, what can they do? What do we do? What should we do? What can we do about this situation we're in? Well, one of the things you can do is meditate. And in order to learn how to meditate, rather than go and join a group in person nowadays, until we have a vaccine, until it's safe, you can join us online. On Wednesday evenings, we have 7:30 introduction to meditation. And it's very simple. Zen's meditation is extremely simple. That's one of its differentiations from other forms of meditation that you may be familiar with. It's not encumbered by a lot of doctrine or philosophy that you need to learn. It's pretty physical, straightforward, sitting up straight, sitting posture, breath, breathing deeply, paying attention. And those three parts are pretty much the sum total of the method. The implications of the method, both for you personally and for society, go way beyond, of course. But it's easy for you to get started. If you just sit still enough, long enough, you will begin to experience some of the benefits of meditation. You naturally tend to breathe more deeply if you sit up straight. And we sit facing a blank wall in Soto Zen, so there's less even visual distraction. We don't sit and listen to music. We don't listen to somebody guiding us, although online you can find my Sitting with Sensei series, which has instructions and in timed periods of 20 minutes each, going through posture, breath, attention to help you. So we highly recommend that, especially during this time, you consider taking up the meditation practice if you haven't done so already, and not to be intimidated by it. We have the trappings of a Japanese monastery or zendo here, and that's basically out of respect for our forefathers, our ancestors. Immediate teachers are Japanese, but our form of practice was brought back to Japan by Master Dogen, a 13th century master from China. So our practice of meditation, our style, quiet, seated, upright meditation, is not really quiet. We find out very quickly it's not quiet, but it's still, very still, is actually Chinese. So if you can sit for a small amount of time in the morning when you get up, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and you can sit quietly in the evening before you go to sleep, again for 5, 10, 15 minutes, you may find, like other things that you're not accustomed to doing or don't want to do, like filing paperwork and so forth, which has kind of gone by the wayside now with the computer revolution, although we are printing a lot more paper, I think, than we ever did. You may find that period growing to 20 minutes, 25, 30 minutes naturally. And we recommend you take this natural approach. We're looking for the natural posture to sit upright for a considerable period of time comfortably, like our ancestors used to sit around the campfire. The cross-legged so-called lotus postures are recommended because they're very stable, but sitting on a chair like this is fine. Sitting on the side of your bed is fine. Just sitting still for a little while. Then again, it may grow to a longer and longer period. We follow the posture, looking for the natural posture. Your body knows how to sit like this. We typically slump back in a C shape, driving or sitting on our desk. It asks us to arch the small of your back, pull back on your chin, sit up straight. And we're looking for the natural breath. Just breathe deeply. Eventually, the body will teach you this breath. And we're looking for the natural state of mind, or state of awareness, which will eventually come about. Mind and body cannot separate. So As the body calms down, the heartbeat slows, the breathing rate slows, the nervous system calms down, our mental anxiety and frustration, stress level, and so forth also calms down. Mind and body cannot separate, so we do meditation with the body. It's essentially a physiological process. Then the various kinds of changes that you will go through in your perception and your awareness can be startling sometimes, but we are also open to collaborating with you, working with you. When you run into things you don't understand, you can get our contacts off of the internet and contact us to discuss those to help further your progress, and join our online dialogues where you will hear other people discussing these same kinds of issues. So the main message I would like to leave you with today is that you can meditate, you do have time, and you will find it to be the natural response to this crisis that we're all facing. So again, I wish you the best in these times of stress, and I hope that you try to take up this practice of simple, upright, seated meditation.